Glory Collision 6 is such a major event with the return of Rico Verhoeven that I thought to bring in a few experts to discuss these matchups. Flying all over the world, sharing kickboxing and Muay Thai knowledge, she's one of the greatest Muay Thai fighters in history who is now making an impact with her foundation. Joining us is the killer queen, Ilonka Elmont. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Tim. Thank you.
Oh,
I'm
awesome
doing
stuff.
great.
You were just doing a seminar alongside Samart, is that correct?
No, I was not doing a seminar along Samart. I was doing a seminar in Toronto, sharing knowledge. Seminar was amazing, fully booked, and for next year we're doing another seminar. Samart was there for a teacher's course together with Muay Thai Canada and Muay Thai Ontario, teacher or referees course. And our seminars were planned like the same days. He had a 3-day seminar, and I had only 1-day seminar. So, but we met. We had a great dinner in the Niagara Falls, and it was crazy to meet a legend like Samart for the second time. And the first time I met him was in 1999 when we were traveling a lot of times to Pattaya to train in the Sichotong camp. And I remember that he was throwing me around like a dirtbag in the clinch. And and I think that's where I learned to clinch.
Absolutely amazing. Rubbing shoulders
Yeah.
with legends. Absolutely awesome to hear. And we also have joining us, he is one of the leading voices in Dutch combat sports today. He is a commentator, he is a creator, and much more. Joining us is Giovanni Tjin. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for the invite.
Man, and you got a ton of different hats. What do you got going on? Like, you're commentating this weekend, you're talking to us, you got tons of things going on.
Yeah, and last day's been crazy. Last weekend I had a viewing party where we watched like UFC 249 with like 600 people. It was packed,
Yeah.
and we organized it within 3 weeks, so that was crazy. And of course, now Collision 6 is coming. A lot of interviews. Just finished an interview with Rico himself, and of course, I always make time for you, Tim. You know that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all being here. But let's start with the with what we really want to get to. Glory Collision 6 is headlined by a heavyweight title showdown, an interim champion versus a long reigning champion. But I wanted to ask you folks, when we zoom out a little bit and take a look at the career of Rico Verhoeven, especially with you, especially with you, Ilonka, who has been around in kickboxing from the golden era right up to today. What does Rico Verhoeven's legacy look like, and where does he sit in the all-time rankings?
I think till now he's the king of kickboxing. He is known for his stamina. He's, in my opinion, a really strong fighter. He has a lot of air, a lot of energy when he fights. Unfortunately for him, he had an injury. He's making an interesting career in Hollywood, so I think that will be his next step after fighting. And he's surrounded in Hollywood by the greatest in the movies. So yeah, you already see where that's heading. And to be honest, you can see that Rico has done a lot for kickboxing in the Netherlands. He is our ambassador, and he brought it bigger on the map because nowadays that's the time. Like 20 years ago, it wasn't, people didn't even think about it, but now it's in like every normal TV show, and sharing knowledge, being the representative of fighting in the Netherlands and even worldwide. So yeah, I think Rico made a big impact. We needed somebody like Rico to promote the sports. Yep.
He's also, yeah, he's a great role model to look up to. Like, he's quite clean. He's you know,
Yeah.
he's a very nice
Yeah.
guy overall. Like, right, he's a good ambassador, right?
He's a good ambassador because yeah, he shares knowledge, and the way he speaks, he can do an interview and he can talk about several things. And I think a good ambassador is not only the one who can fights really good like he did in the ring, but he carries himself. He shows like he looks like a role model. He looks fit. He looks great. He's a big guy, and when he's in TV shows and he's doing interviews, he knows what he's saying, right? He can motivate other people. So for me, it's a combination. A role model is a combination of all those aspects in one, right? Having sharing knowledge and using the right words in interviews. So that's a big thing. So yeah, he got those things.
And speaking of using the right words in interviews, Giovanni, how was his headspace today? You were just talking to him a few hours ago. How does he sound?
Well, he sounds very relaxed. Actually, I was asking him, of course, about his long layoff because this has been this longest layoff in his Glory kickboxing career, and a lot of fans and a lot of kickbox fans are wondering, like, is he mostly working on his life after kickboxing nowadays than the actual fight that's coming up.
That's
And he assured me that, and even though he's been away and he fought in his own organization, he has his injury, he has his movie, but he still wants to prove that even though he has all of those things, that he's still the reigning defending champion. And we'll talk
Oh,
about that this
absolutely.
weekend.
he has a lot going on.
Yeah,
He's,
of course. But it's
he's
smart, not a lot of fighters think about their life after fighting. So
Hmm.
I think, as you said, Ilonka, as a role model, it also inspires other people to look further than cured occupation as a kickboxer. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. Because in the top sport branch, you only have a certain amount of time to pursue your career and to be the greatest in this time for Rico. But he already focuses on the next steps. So yeah, to see like a long space between his fights, like it's about 2 years, right?
yeah,
2 years, yeah. So he's out of rhythm to say
yeah. He did fight last year on his own
on his
Hit It
own
event.
event.
right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I
on
always
his own.
forget. I always forget about Hit It. I don't know why.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Yeah.
there actually. Brought my kids. Had a blast. Yeah, but he did had some preparation, of course, but the fight itself, it wasn't that challenging. But still, you can say, and it was another setting, and it was a different organization as well. So in Glory, yeah, it's been like 2 years and a couple of months, I
Yeah.
think.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, but still, I think it's difficult, right? At the moment that you're organizing your own event and you fight on your own event, it's like you need to make a choice. Either you're fish or meat. You
Yeah,
cannot be both, and you need to focus. And yeah, okay, to be a bit in the rhythm, I can understand that he put in a fight. But I think the moment that you're gonna fight on event like Glory, and now he has to defend because now the interim title is somewhere else, and now he needs to show that he's still the reigning champ. Yeah, that's another thing. So I'm curious in how he's going to develop himself this coming fight.
Oh, I'm incredibly curious as well. I mean, he's been around for so long, coming in and out of injuries, coming in and out of acting, of course, as well. But one thing that is so prevalent in all of his fights is that he's such an exciting fighter because he gets beat up, and then he rallies back so continuously.
Yeah,
He's getting knocked down in the first round, and then he rallies back for an amazing comeback in the third round. So he gets away with great stamina and toughness, which are two things that can fade with age. So it's a little bit
yeah.
of the X factor coming into this fight. So
Mhm.
Ilonka, I'll start with you. Do you think these factors are going to play a part in this matchup? Do you think the toughness is still there, or are we seeing the final fight of Rico maybe going out on a loss? What do you imagine?
Well, to be honest, I think it will have an impact on his fight because being out of a fight that long, out of fight that long, it always takes an advantage. So it's disadvantage for him. Ring rust is an issue. You can see that also with Butter, right? You age, you see things differently. Your body responds differently. I think he will have a lot of air. He has a lot of stamina. I don't know how he will be bouncing back because you see, Cookie is already coming, and he's a young fighter. I think this fight comes a little bit too soon for Cookie because he's an upcoming fighter. But then again, what are the odds? What does Cookie has to lose? What Cookie has to do, he only gains. Even if he loses this fight, he already gained something because he stood against the champ. So about that hungriness and about that bouncing back, Cookie's a little bit younger. He has stamina. He's in a streak, and so I have to be careful about this. But I think the win will go on for Cookie. That's what I think.
That's quite a statement. Cookie has gone out 2023, shocked the world, won the one night tournament by knockout, defeated
Yeah,
Antonio Plazibat. Like it's just
yeah. Who
absolutely
expected
amazing.
that?
What an amazing, like what a from last year when we were like, oh, this guy has no stamina, maybe if he just had X, Y, and Z he can get better, to 2023 we're looking at being like, maybe he beats Rico. Alonka, what a year it's been for Cookie, right?
Too much, too much. So that's another thing. His career is going how it should go, right? Other people would say maybe he needs maybe 2 or 3 fights before he faces the king, but he's already there, and he's already there preparing. So the only thing what he got is like a chance, and if and what Cookie does, he will take the chance with both hands and he will go for it, maximum. The fifth gear.
It's going to be a good one. Giovanni Tjin, what do you imagine here? Do you think the toughness will play a part? Do you think Rico still has it? Or are we going to see an upset victory for Cookie Tariq on his like amazing 2023 that he's had?
Yeah, that's a good question. If you look at Cookie right now, he does have some things that he didn't have before, and that's distraction. Glory's really building him, and he's been seen in more interviews than the last opponents of Rico. They're really building a star. And if you think about if he wins this title, what kind of story that would be for Cookie, and what kind of legacy he's already have been built. But let's see. I also thought about the opponent that Rico was actually had to face before Cookie stepped in, and that was against Plazibat, of course. And I've been thinking maybe this could be a better fight, a more technical fight, and especially with the hungriness and with the cardio that Cookie possesses. And don't forget, he has Mike in his corner, and that guy has made so many game plans for Rico. Didn't manage to pull any one of them off, but still, he knows Rico, and he has a new instrument called Tarik Cookie, who probably has the biggest chance right now, if you think about Mike's gym, to potentially beat Rico. So yeah, it comes with pressure, of course, for Tarik. I do think, technically speaking, they could be equal. And I underestimated Cookie before with the Plazibat fight, and he showed us that he wasn't to be underestimated. And I do think that in experience, I have to give it one to Rico. I think he might pull it off by winning it on the decision. But I would not be surprised if Tarik gets the job done. So officially, I'm going to go with Rico, but it's close. It's very close for me.
I agree with you as well. But let me ask you, Giovanni, do you think with a loss, how much would this affect the legacy of Rico Verhoeven? Because I think a lot of people can write it off of like, maybe this is his oldest fight. He's probably not in his prime, so it's okay to take a loss. Or would a lot of people look at this as a very damaging thing to his legacy?
No, I think, and especially with fighters, a lot of people love the undefeated ranks and 29-0 and how do you call it? But for me personally, I like a good comeback story. So if he loses, you can guarantee that he will get a rematch. And if he wins that rematch, I think that's an even better story than if he just continues his unbeaten streak as a champion. So I think it will not be devastating to his career.
No.
I think it's how you bounce back from a loss what determines you as a champion. So no, I don't think it's going to be a big effect on his legacy.
That's good to hear. Ilonka, what do you think? Does it affect his legacy? Does he come back for a trilogy with a loss?
Yeah, I think the same what Gio said. I don't think it will affect him in a bad way. Definitely not, because that's what the champ is made of. How he bounces back, and to be honest, sport comes with winning and losing. Everybody will face a loss one time, and it depends how he bounces back. So I don't think it will have a big impact on his career. Definitely not. I think what the Gio said, he will be hungry again, and then if he wants to stop, then he wants to stop with a win. So he will bounce back.
We might be seeing one of the biggest rivalries in Glory history. If Cookie can pull this off, that would be what an incredible story. And then we can go to a trilogy. Oh, I would just absolutely love to see it. It would be amazing. I think there are some flaws that Cookie has that we saw in the Plazibat fight, where he's making clear improvements along the way, but there's still like he's getting cut a lot of the sorry, not cut. Ring cutting, he's getting cornered quite a bit. And I feel like those play into a lot of Rico Verhoeven's strengths. So I'm wondering, where is the biggest aspect where Cookie Tariq can make developments and find flaws in Rico Verhoeven? So if you were game planning, Ilonka, what would you say to Cookie so he can get the victory here?
I would say move around a lot, staying away from the corners. He has strong punches and he has an aggressive style. To be honest, Rico is an experienced fighter, so I don't think that Rico is going backwards. Rico is a fighter that goes forward, and he likes to put pressure on it. He's a dominant fighter, and so I know this will be a clash. But in Tarik's case, I would suggest the moment that you see that you're coming in the corner, move around and try to get away from the corner with strikes and kicks. That's the only thing how to stay alive. Otherwise, your breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I think about a previous fight about Tarik versus Plazibat, of course, you also have to think about the two different opponents, right? With Plazibat, maybe he didn't mind to be cornered in order to counter, you know. And in case of Rico, I think that he actually has to be first, because when Rico puts you on like in reverse, that is where he really thrives and he really can apply his game plan. So I think with Rico, he has to be first. He has to try to have Rico on his back foot, so to say, and apply pressure from there. So I think that's, but I'm not a professional coach. Like
being the fastest fighter.
Yeah,
I think he should be the fastest.
Yeah, he should be the faster. Yeah, indeed, I agree.
Yeah, it's always the game plan of like easier said than done. Like have more cardio, be stronger, be faster. Oh, why didn't I just think of that? Just be faster, right? If only I could do that.
Yeah, you know, Rico for a heavyweight, he is a fast fighter for a heavyweight, right? Because normally when you see heavyweight bouts, you see the pace instead of the welterweights. Then you see that the welterweights are more explosive, aggressive. But for a heavyweight, you can see that Rico has that factor, and the same thing that goes for Cookie. These guys are fast, but what I would say, if somebody puts pressure on you, I would like to move around and strike from every corner. And I think what Gino said, you need to be the fastest striker. He needs to go in, and from that he needs to circle around his opponent with strikes and punches. Stay away from the corners. That I would say. And I think that Mike worked on his footwork to go backwards.
If we see these developments, like I was on the fence with a Cookie Tariq victory anyway, but if we're really seeing those developments coming out of Mike's gym, like I would confidently pick Cookie Tariq. I think it might be his year. This might be one of the best years that we've seen for any kickboxer, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I must agree. If you think, as you said, the tournament and what he did with his teammate Plazibat, even what we said before, even when he loses and they get a rematch and maybe after that a trilogy, this is his year nonetheless. I think he's already the fighter of the year, and if you can solidify that with a win over Rico, then it has to be the biggest, greatest short debut in the organization for any fighter, I think. So yeah, he has there's legacy on the line for Tarik. So he has a little bit to lose, a little bit.
But you know, it feels like they are being Cookie Tariq's team seems like they are being quite intelligent. They're not taking every offer on the table when speaking to media and stuff like that. They are just saying like, we're just going to do a couple things, but we really need to focus on the fight. So I feel like we're hearing the right language where this guy's almost getting ready to shock the world. You guys know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. He's focused. He's hungry. He's focused, and no distractions. That's the only way to go into for a title fight. That's what I think.
Yeah. And what really is something that I look at and something that I recognized in Tarik, he's so relaxed. Other opponents of Rico were tense, Butter was tense, and Jamal Ben Sadiki was tense as well, you know, on all emotions. And if you look at Tarik, it's like going to the grocery store and get a sandwich or something. He's like super relaxed in his interviews. Of course, he had a little bit of trash talk here and there, but if you look at his composure and how he approaches this fight, yeah, you're right, Tim. It's actually something that should Rico worry about, if that's correct English.
He should worry. Yeah, I think he goes in with, he's going in with confidence. But then again, what I said, what does Tarik has to lose? True. You know, the pressure is on Rico.
I think you're right about that. I think the pressure is on Rico. Cookie Tariq is just out here shocking the world. I think he's relaxed. What a great headspace he's coming in this match. And also he has a slight size advantage over Rico, but I'm a little bit surprised that most of Rico's opponents have been bigger than him, despite how massive he is.
Rico's massive.
Rico's massive, but all of his opponents like Jamal Ben Saddik and I think Badr and it's certainly Semi Schilt were all bigger than him. But do you think the size will play a factor in this? Ilonka, I'll start with you. Is size a factor in this matchup? They're almost the same size, but what do you think?
It doesn't have to be. It depends on the trainer. If the trainer, and you know, he has a good trainer, that's Mike, and he knows how to deal with longer opponents. And that's what a trainer does. So I don't think that that will be a problem for Tariq. You can if you're no, I don't think so. I don't think so because if you're the shorter one, you know how to deal with longer opponents, and if you're the longer one, you know how to work with your reach. So that's a coach's thing, and I don't think I think he's well prepared for this fight, and that's his body language and his language speaks for it, right? He's confident. He's going in the fight with yeah, less stress, but he knows what he's going for. So no.
Yeah, absolutely. Gio, take it home. What do you think?
Yeah, and of course, about the size, and if you think about size, you first of all think about length.
Yeah,
But when you think about size, if you look at the different body types of Badr
Rico.
and of Jamal Ben Sadiq as last opponents of Rico, and if you look at Cookie, I think Cookie is and like as a specimen more athletically built. And and of course, Ben Sadiq is a tank, a lot of muscle, but also a bit of fat. And Badr, he varies. I think
Their
Cook
eyes,
is,
yeah.
yeah, he varies, and Cook has been consistent with his frame
Physique.
and his physique. So yeah, I do think that size will play a part as an opponent of Rico. I think that physically speaking, Cookie has the best tools right now, and in comparison to the previous opponents of Rico.
What you don't need to underestimate are Rico's kicks. Did you see the legs of Rico? What
Oh,
Rico can take? Oh, so people underestimate Rico's physique too. Rico has his legs, man. I don't want to get a kick of Rico.
I mean, either. What I'm curious about is the implementation of calf kicks these days. Calf kicks are very widely used in MMA, and for some weird reason,
Now
uh, yeah,
in
since
kickboxing too.
in kickboxing too. So I'm really curious or if Tariq or Rico are going to include that in their strikes, because that could be very determined factor in the fight.
Ilonka, what do you think? New meta on the calf kick. What do you think?
Well, calf kicks hurt, and especially if you put him the right way. So if they're going to use it, yeah, I don't think that the round will take too long. Maybe it will be a 2-round fight, but I don't think if you have a good kick, you won't get a third round. So and if Rico is going to throw the low kicks like he does, if like he did in previous fights, ah, with the striking combination. So what I say, Cookie needs to be a lot faster.
Speaking of calf kicks, it's a great time for an ad read. You are listening to Calf Kick Sports. So I remember in 2020, I remember in 2021 when Dustin Poirier defeated Conor McGregor using calf kicks. I think
Calf
it
kicks,
was the next K1 show. Half of the fights were TKO calf kick. So it was just
Calf
like this
kicks.
new thing where everyone around the world came up with this new idea. But I think one thing with Rico is when we see the highlight reel, it's a bunch of flurries and it's a bunch of punches. But what you guys were alluding to is that most of his game is actually set up by his very effective kicks, because whether it's to the open side or closed side, whether he's attacking the lead leg or the rear leg, he is very effective at kicks. So all of those punching flurries are set up by his immense kicking game. Gio, I'll start with you here. Like, people forget about, like, he is a kickboxer and his kicking game
Yeah,
is maybe his
is
best
on point.
factor, right? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, his kicking game is on point. But of course, for the highlight reels, punches they get more traction. But yeah, but he's very complete. And I like to think of Rico. He doesn't do a lot of fancy stuff. He doesn't do
Oh,
weird spinning stuff. He's like
straightforward.
it's maybe sounds a bit disrespectful to say, but he's like a basic kickboxer, but everything of the basics he does it like exceptionally. So it is a compliment. But yeah, that's the thing with Rico. So yeah, it's gonna be very cool to see if he still got it. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah, he's like almost like just a bread and butter Dutch style of, like, if you made a guy in a lab based on Dutch style kickboxing, you would end up with Rico Verhoeven. Ilonka, do you think I'm wrong here? What do you think?
No, I don't think you're wrong. That's the good explanation. You can see he's like, indeed, he doesn't do many crazy things. He just keep it clean. He just keeps it clean. Just like the punches and the kicks, throwing the low kicks. He's good. He can kick really good to the body. He has a good high kick. And the calf kicks are a smart kick though, because if in compared to the low kicks go in deep. But you can when you kick, you can hit on a block, and but in the calf kicks, if you have the right timing, you just wait the moment that your leg goes down and that your muscle isn't tight, then you throw in the kick. Yeah, that's where you get an injury. So yeah, I think that what Rico does, he doesn't take too many he doesn't do too many crazy things, and he just keeps it real. He just keeps it real. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, folks. So we got a split. I think we got one Cookie, we got one Rico. I'll actually get Cookie in this one, but you know what? If he loses, I'll come back and edit that later on.
No.
So let's move on to the light heavyweight showdown. Now, this was a fight that we actually discussed before, but just a few days before the event, Donegi Abena got a stomach virus and was unable to fight. So this is the second time Donegi Abena has gone through all sorts of different online harassment from fans all around the globe. So what kind of headspace? He was training with the Fury family up in London as well. Tarik Khbabez is so motivated. There's some animosity between these two. I think it's going to be a very fun fight. But Ilonka, what do you see in the Donegi Abena versus Tarik Khbabez light heavyweight title showdown?
Okay, I have trained with Donegi before he got sick, and what I can see is Donegi is fast, really, really fast for a heavyweight with his hands, and he likes to box. So that's one thing that he likes to do. He doesn't really like to kick, and that explains the trip to Thailand to work on his kicks, but he can do the combinations because we worked in Amsterdam. We worked also with Donegi. He has his trainer Mikey. Mikey is one of our old school fighters, old champions, very technical trainer too. And I've been also to the camp with at Said's to check what Donegi does there. So I'm on Donegi's side. To be honest, Khabib is an aggressive fighter. The last time you can see that he was really, really hungry for the fight, and he still is because he has something to prove. And yeah, that's what a lot of trash talk going back and forth and excuses that Donegi didn't want to fight. But I have seen videos that he was really sick. So I had a few 20 years ago. I was in Thailand too, and I was also sick with food poison. So that's a common thing. Yeah, was it smart? Yeah and no. Yeah, but shit, it happens, And well, nowadays you can see Donegi is coming back. He went to England to train. He has fat hands, so I think that Tarik really needs to watch out for those punches and also the knees that Donegi is going to throw in, because I can see what he can do. We have worked on those things too, and I don't think you should expect high kicks in this match because he doesn't like to kick. But then again, we know that Tarik likes to come in with the punches. He likes to go through with the opponents, and then he likes to end it with a low kick. And yeah, Donegi needs to block. But in this case, I want to say I will give the advantage to Donegi.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mr. Tjin, what do you make of the matchup? What do you see in the light heavyweight showdown?
Well, first off, I like both fighters. I've known Tarik for years, and I've known Donegi for years. So it's very it's like a two-edged sword. I would like to see it, but on the other hand, I don't like to see it. But if you look at just
I like
about
Tarik too.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Nice guy.
But yeah, if I look at the styles, and I think Abena is a more technical fighter, and he moves better. I think boxing wise is very good boxer as well. And I do think that Tarik in this fight, I don't know. I think he's like coming in nonstop. So in order for Donegi to stop him, he really has to do a lot of lateral movement in order to escape the bombs from Tarik. It's hard. It's a hard one. Maybe if you look at both fighters on paper, could be Donegi, but I think I'm going for Tarik on this one. And I think the pressure is going to be a lot. And I know that Donegi is very good in his footwork, so probably it's going to be tough to corner him. But I don't. I do think that Tarik will get this job done, and I don't think it's going to be by knockout. And
it will be a point victory. Yeah. What I think.
Yeah. Even though it's going to be, it's very tough to knock Tarik out, and I do think that Tarik is going to win this by decision. I think. Yeah.
Man,
sorry, Donegi. Still love you, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's a friend of ours. Like he's a good guy. Tariq has taken a long journey to get to the title. I mean, he suffered knockout losses. He had a war with Sergey Masleboyev before he fought
Yeah.
Rico at heavyweight. Like, what an absolute story it would be, Giovanni, if he were able to pick up a title against Donegi Abena in this light heavyweight division. Like, he's a fan favorite for a reason, but I feel like seeing him get that title wrapped around his waist, I think we'd all be so happy for Tariq, right?
Yeah, for both guys,
Both, yeah.
to be honest. But yeah, as you said, I've been following the journey of Tariq for many years now, and he had an adventure at one championship, and and it was like, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years ago when I first spoke to him. So it's been a very long journey. He's been on the sideline for quite some time as well because he couldn't get any fights. And one thing that I know of Tariq, that he always speaks his mind, and he's actually not a real talker. He doesn't really like interviews, but the things he says are always genuine and always
Meant.
straightforward. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's always himself, and yeah, I do think that this fight. Oh man, I don't even want to watch it, man. I'll
Yeah.
be, I'll be I don't even want to watch it, but yeah, it's gonna be a great one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ilonka, what do you think? What do you see in the matchup? I think it's going to be an inside matchup, but it's hard to watch either of these guys lose. But what's the last word on this one?
Well, I like Tariq too. He's an emotional guy, and he's straightforward. He's genuine. I also like his style. So if he had another opponent, I will always be in his corner. And I know his coach too. He has a good coach, and his coach knows how to plan a strategy for his fighters. Um, but in this case, I know what I saw. In my opinion, I worked with Donegi, and I have seen him train with us. I have seen things how he moves, how fast his hands are. I can see how his knees come in, and we also watched what Tariq does. So in this case, I'm on Abena's side, on Donegi's side, and because we have analyzed him, and so in my opinion, is this will be the win. I really do like Tariq because he's a nice guy. But in this case, I'm still going for Abena on points.
No,
How about
absolutely,
you, Tim?
absolutely.
How's
Yeah,
your
I'm gonna
turn?
I'm gonna pick Abina. I like his story so much of like
Yeah,
struggling in the first half of his career. He's only 25 and really coming
yeah,
into his prime now.
young.
He's young and just keeps getting better in between each fight. I think him having I would like to see him defeat Tariq and then rematch Sergey Masleboyev to just put the exclamation mark on that controversial ending to their last fight. And
Yeah,
then he's talked about switching to MMA or professional boxing. I'd like to see him stay in the light heavyweight division because we got people like Stefan Latushku. We have Ibrahim coming up as well. Like it's a really fun division, so I'd like to see him stick around. But honestly, I am picking Donegi Abena. I really do like Tariq, so I don't want to step on anyone's toes. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing in this one. But I think it's going to be an inside war, 5-round decision, no doubt about that one. But let's move on to the middleweight title fight. Donovan Wisse, he is battling the powerful Michael Boapeah. It is so
mhm.
difficult to fight Donovan Wisse. I think he has to be one of the most frustrating fighters that anyone could ever face. Giovanni, I'm going to start with you here. What do you see in this middleweight title showdown?
Yeah, that's crazy. It's just as you said, Donovan Wisse, he's crazy technical, man. It's like a walking mystery, like enigma. It's very hard to analyze him and see what he comes with next. Um, yeah, for this one, I do have to give it to Wisse. Not that I think that Boapeah does not have the tools, but I think inexperience. And if you look at the opponents they have faced, and actually the style of Wisse, it might be a bit too soon. But on the other hand, if you look how hungry Boapeah is, and he's really is motivated to be one of the youngest. He's young as well, right?
Yeah.
How old is he? I don't know. It's very young, and it would be a great story, if he wins it and Tariq wins it, same gym. It's going to be crazy.
Mhm.
But I do think in this fight, I think that I have to go with Donovan Wisse, and it's mostly an experience-based decision. And um, he might get a knockout in the later rounds, but I think if you think about how Bob he can take some damage. So I do think it's going to be a decision for Wisse or a late knockout.
Oh, absolutely. Ilonka, what do you think? What do you make of the middleweight title match?
I think the same. I think the experience of Donovan is crazy. You could see the last fight what he had with Sirkan. It was a kickboxing class, and that he had answers to every combination that came in. He was showing off his technique in the neatest kind of way, and he likes to move around. He's sharp. He's hungry, and I know that Donovan is going. He wants to stay the champion. He wants to be the reigning champion. So I don't. I must say that due to experience, Donovan will win this on points definitely, or indeed on a late KO, late knockout. And I suppose if it will be a knockout, it will be with a high kick because he's really strong with those high kicks. Really strong.
Fast.
They come in fast and they come in unexpected, unorthodox. And that's what I can see with Donovan. And yeah, Boapeah is hungry. He's a young fighter. He comes in. He has strong techniques, but he has to go deep in this one. If he wants to win from Wisse, he has to go deep. I think this will be a 5-round fight because you know that Wisse, you see that Wisse likes to play a lot, and he doesn't finish his fights in the first or the second round. He likes to play a lot. So I think that we will get a beautiful clash in techniques. But Wisse will end this with a win in or 5 rounds or KO with a high kick. That's what I predict.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It feels like the deck is stacked against Michael Boapeah a little bit because he's young. He's 23 years old. Like we were talking about, only 23, born in the year 2000. But he's also, despite having a lot of success in kickboxing, he's really only been a full-time kickboxer for less than a year now. Like he was working a job even, I think in his last fight against, so Sergey Braun, he was fighting full time, but before that, he was still working a part-time job. Whereas Donovan Wisse has been a full-time kickboxer for 6-7 years now.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to me that we're talking about a 26-year-old Donovan Wisse and we're like, oh yeah, he's a veteran. Man, that's
but he started young though. He started really young.
Fair enough. That's a good point. He's been around forever, it feels like, but I just can't believe he's kind of only 26 and he's a veteran in the sport. Absolutely amazing. Good for him. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely.
I saw fights of Donovan Wisse when I was on vacation in Suriname, and he had amazing fights. And then the stadium was fully booked, and Donovan was fighting guys. So he knocked a lot of guys out with his technique, and you could see him grow as a youngster. The time when I was visiting Suriname in vacations, then there were events. Yeah, so I can see that he grew from that point when he was like, I think about 15, 16 years old, like 10, 15 years ago. So up until now, he has mastered his technique, and he just became bigger and better. And what came along with him was the strength, the power that he has in his combinations, and that he can pick his shots. And that's neat.
He's so sharp. It's just unreal how sharp he is. Gio, let me pass it on to you here. He's pretty much cleared out the middleweight division with a win at Glory Collision 6. He's pretty much beaten everyone. I mean, who's left for him here? Does he move up in weight? Does he challenge another champion? Like, what do you want to see him do with a win?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, you know. Who's next for him? And also because he's fighting it's middleweight, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the next step is going to be light heavyweight, and he already told me that he's not planning to fight Abena. Okay. So
I just wanted to say, if it would be something, he would fight Abena.
Yeah, and
that would be a great fight.
He probably would not do that. At least that's what he said to me, because he's just it's his countryman, and he wants to have as much possible Suriname flag in the rankings. So I think like if Wisse wins this fight and Tarik wins this fight, he might go up and challenge Tarik. Could be a possibility, or maybe just sit tight and look for the next opponent, because Glory is expanding and they're adding fight. I don't know who really. I don't
experienced fighters. I don't see any experienced fighter that could match up with Donovan's ranking and his technique and his style for him. I think after this one, and when he wins, he will be undefeated. Nobody. Yeah. I don't see a fighter coming in this division to fight him. So it would be nice for him to climb up a weight class, and probably Khbabez, and then unfortunately he's not going to fight Abena, because that would be a good match.
So
a good clash.
Crazy. Yeah. So that's what I think. Maybe move up in weight, or hang tight and look for any other opponents. It could even be, let's say Wisse wins this fight. It could be that because Serkan is also fighting, and maybe Serkan could, put a little more fire on their old feud that they had, and maybe can get a fight out of that, maybe a rematch. But I have to agree with Ilonka. It's very hard to find a good opponent for Wisse.
Yeah, I co-sign with all of
Even
that.
even if Serkan is coming back, I don't think he stands a chance.
Gonna be tough. But who else is there in the division?
Nobody. Nobody I can think of. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If Serkan wins, Serkan is fighting Ulrich Boapeah at the same event. If Serkan wins, rematch Serkan. But it's the same thing with if he fights Ulrich Boapeah next as a top ranked fighter. I just don't see it being competitive. He's just head and shoulders above the rest of the division, which is why he's ranked on pound for pound list. It just seems like he's 4 steps ahead of a lot of the people he fights, despite fighting the best opponents here. But let's move on here. So I want to talk about Jay Overmeer. So he was in a title clash in his last bout, and it was a close contested match against Andy Semalir. Ilonka, you've worked very closely with Jay. What's the future of his career look like? What do you expect in this matchup? How's he recovering? All that sort of stuff.
Well, what I can see, Jay is a really hard worker. He's technical. We have seen him train about daily. And in his last fight, it was indeed a controversial loss, and for me. And what I can see is that he worked more on his power the last time. He has a good condition. He has a lot of stamina, but he needed to work more on his power. His speed is good though. What can we say about Kwasi? Kwasi has strength, he has power, he has good punches. But that's the thing that Jay works on, because they analyze his opponent, and from that point on, he goes in. I think that Jay is a complete fighter. After his last fight, he had a good recovery, and he was so hungry. He doesn't want to have that again. That it could be a split decision, and the fight can go either way. He doesn't want that anymore. He wants to show this is it, and I'm going to score the points, and it will be a win, a convincing win, and that's what he goes for.
Awesome to hear. Now, Chico Kwasi actually requested this fight because he had a loss to him, I think 2 years ago, and he's trying to get that loss scrubbed off his record. Do you think Chico Kwasi can get it done and avenge his last loss?
Man, I think this could be a potential fight of the night. These two guys are insane, Jay, seen by a lot of people as a mini Rico. He has the charisma, he has the style, he has the work ethic, and technically very skillful as well. On the other hand, you have Chico, and the thing that I find very interesting about Chico is his timing. He has like a weird kind of timing. It's not like a 1-1-2. It's like, I don't know, if you're like a drummer, it's like sometimes he hits the beat, and sometimes it's just right in between.
Skips a second.
I think, and that's very confusing, I think, to prepare for such an opponent. And I think his footwork is good as well. Their last fight, Jay won indeed. And I do think that this fight, because this is a title eliminator, you know that?
It's not clear. There's a lot of people at welterweight that could be stepping up, but it's not clear at this point.
True. Yeah, I do think if Jay can keep his distance, use smart footwork, that he can avoid the heavy power and the weird rhythm of Chico. And it's also going to be a tough one, to be completely honest.
It is.
I think I'm going to go for Chico in this one because if we look at his fight, he got caught. I think it was a high kick by Jay. But during the fight, it wasn't that Jay was really dominating it. Of course, they both developed, they both grew in their skills. I gotta give a little edge to Chico, based on I think because Ilonka talked with Jay and she knows very much about him. I only talk to Chico, so I only know what's in his mind. And so he has like a great mentality and perseverance, and I think this fight he might get a W, and I don't think it's going to be by KO. I think conditioning of Jay is too good, but I do think he can. I think that Chico's going to win this by decision. Yeah, I do think, or a technical knockout, but I'm going to go for a decision. Yeah.
So one for Chico Kwasi, one for Jay. Ilonka, what do you think? I'll give the last word on this matchup to you.
No, it will be Jay. 100%.
but it will be an exciting matchup, no doubt. Okay, those are the only fights I really wanted to cover off on Glory Collision 6, but folks, I'm going to put the links down below for everything that you have going on. But Ilonka, tell us what you got going on in your life. Where can we find more of you? All that good stuff.
Okay, we're now busy with a website, ilonkaelmont.com, so that's coming up in a few weeks. And what you can see is that I'm busy with seminars worldwide. People who want to know technique, our style, the Carbon All style. That's the style that I used to fight with. And so people are booking me internationally for those things. I have my foundation, and I'm working in Suriname. I have a new partner in this one. That's the brand called Filling Pieces. You know about that brand? And I'm working with Filling Pieces on a project that's arts and culture, getting children with disabilities, making paintings and designs. And that design, the number one design, we send back to Filling Pieces, and that can be the imprint of a new collection. So yeah, that's a big thing. So I'm preparing that project for next year, in 2024. And now I'm here in Suriname for 2 sporting days for children with a disability. We will have the first one on November the 6th, and then November the 10th, and then I head back to Amsterdam. And then yeah, seminars are my thing now. So and I like to share the knowledge.
Absolutely amazing. Links will be down below for all of that. Thank you so much. Now, Gio, you're going to get the last word here. Talk us on out of here. Where can the people find more of you? What do you got going on in your life? Please tell us everything.
I got a lot going on. But first off, I would like to also offer my help to Ilonka. If you need anything, if I can help you with anything in the foundation, if I can give you more exposure in the Netherlands or anything, you can just ask me. Always.
Oh wow!
You're my sister, so I'll always help you out, and it doesn't matter what I have to do. Well, it goes a bit far, but
oh
no. And yeah, of course, no. Really, anything you need in order to support you and your cause, I will happily help you out. For me personally, yeah, it's just you can find me on Instagram at Tjin MMA, and yeah, it's gonna do the usual, man. Every Friday do live streams, and of course we have Glory Collision coming up, so I'm gonna do some coverage for that. And you're gonna be there, Tim?
No, I got a couple of representatives in my place, but I'm going to be here. I'll cover it from here, but yeah, I won't be there in person.
Cool. I'll make the representatives feel welcome here in the Netherlands. And yeah, other than that, just yeah, working on some projects, working on some cool formats that I will announce soon. Give a little bit of how do you call it? Cliffhanger.
We are looking forward to it. Gio, that is absolutely awesome. Let me know any way that I can help. Ilonka, you as well, any way that I can help. Folks, I am always here for you. But you too, thank you so much for your time. This was a great chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.